Is PTE Core a very difficult exam? Is scoring a CLB 9 impossible? We'll look at that in this video. We will look at not only the CLB requirements, that's the biggest thing, but also we'll look at the good parts of this exam that may help you and some negative parts that are going to negatively impact your performance and your immigration response results. Now, CLB is a requirement you need to get the Canadian immigration, and this is the most crucial factor. So we'll start with that. And again, these are results from our students from HZad Education's PTE Core students. These are results and queries coming to us from potential PTE Core candidates, as well as people who are now doing the PTE Core exam the second or third time within a course of a few weeks, because this is, again, a very new exam. So when we talk about the first thing and the most important thing, which is the CLB requirements, unfortunately, in this case, PTE Core is one of the hardest exams to do. There is a caveat to that, so we'll listen to that in a second, but let's have a look at what that means. All right, CLB levels are 3 to 10. Now here, you need a CLB 9 for most cases to get a good score in your CRS points for your express entry to Canada. Looking at PTE Core, again, the total mark is out of 90. So you can say reading is 78 to 87. Pretty high. Again, it's 90 is the total mark. So if you get 87 out of 90, that's really good. But again, you can also score as low as 78. When we talk about writing, that's the biggest problem. This is the biggest issue with PTE Core. We'll talk about writing a little bit more. But look, 88 to 89 is what you need to score for a CLB 9, which is insane. It's like basically a perfect score. This is no different than a 90 score. This is the same thing. So no mistakes can be made. Listening is the next hardest thing. With this said, listening in IELTS, CELPIP, and PTE Core is the easiest module. So in IELTS 2, a lot of times you need 8,777, and that is 8 in listening. So listening, it is a high score, again, almost perfection, no mistakes, but it is doable. Speaking is, again, very high, 84 to 88 out of 90. Okay, so it's almost a perfect score. Now, again, this year, the CRS score requirements are more. So a lot of you need a 10 as well. Now, if you need a 10, you need a perfect score, almost perfect in reading, 100% perfect in writing, almost perfect in speaking, but let's just call it a perfect score. It's 89 to 90. Listening, again, you have a little leeway, but again, similar to speaking, it's almost a perfect score. That means you cannot make any mistakes. CLB 10 is basically perfection. Now, when we compare this, and these are the benchmarks from CICnews.com, just gonna credit them here. In this, if you look at the CELPIP scoring sheet, CLB 10 is a 10, 10, 10, 10 in all 4 modules out of 12. 12 is the total mark in CELPIP. That means you still have the room to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. When it comes to IELTS, IELTS is out of 9, and you can see the 10 requirement for CLB is 8, 7.5, 8.5, and 7.5. So you again have the room to make mistakes. In PTE Core, you don't have any room to make mistakes. Hence, when it comes to the CLB score requirements, PTE Core is not a winner. It is the hardest exam when it comes to the CLB requirements. With that said, there are people who are scoring 88, 90 points in a lot of modules, but you gotta have perfection there. You cannot make any mistakes. So that is a negative thing. But when we come to the AI marking, because this is not gonna be marked by an examiner, it's gonna be marked by an AI. I have a mixed opinion there. It's not my personal opinion. It is based on the students I have seen and the things we have observed throughout the years in PT Academic, because they have the same marking system in PTE Core, at least from what we have heard. In this AI marking, there is less bias. That's what PTE Core has been advertising as well. You have less bias. You know, an examiner in CELPIP or IELTS might not like your task response and say, this doesn't answer the question. But another examiner might like it, and they might give you more marks. So there is a confusion. It is unfair to you. With the AI marking, that is not an issue, which is why it's a good thing. But it's also a negative thing because it's AI. Sometimes it does not understand the things you have said correctly. For example, if you speak in a way which is natural, let's say you say wanna, and your speaking is being recorded, it will record that as a grammar mistake because it is not want to. That is proper English, but a human examiner might ignore that. Same thing with task response, especially this is true with writing summary. You can summarize the main points and you might paraphrase them, you might use synonyms, you might use highly advanced vocabulary which perfectly fits the answer and it makes sense. But if it is too complicated, if it is a little bit different sounding than what the summary is supposed to be, or even in an email, if it is on topic, but it looks by the words that it might not be covering the main topics, you might get marked lower. AI marking is very difficult because of that. And when it comes to speaking, you know, if you have recorded your messages on iPhone, when you use speech to text, sometimes you're saying things correctly and a human will easily understand you. But for the AI, it needs to be a perfect cadence, perfect tone, 100% clarity. You cannot swallow any words. You have to be really perfect sounding. So there you struggle with the AI marking. It is not 100% accurate and a human might have given you more marks. So this is 50-50 when it comes to AI marking. Now, when we talk about the easy tests or tasks, these are all positives. There should be a thumbs up here. Now, the good thing here is in speaking, you have two of the easiest tasks. I've never seen tasks as easy as these. You have a read aloud task where you have a little portion, little passage, 3 to 4 lines or 2 to 3 sentences that you have written. You just have to read them. That's it. That's all you need to do. And then repeat sentence, you're going to hear a sentence in speaking, and then you just have to repeat the same sentence. Simplest thing in the world to do. So these are very easy tasks, easy to score marks there. In reading in multiple choice compared to IELTS and CELPIP, this part is the easiest because here you get a passage. In one part, you would have to get only 2 multiple choice answers from a list of 5 to 6. In another part of multiple choice, you would just have to get 1 multiple choice correct from a passage, and that is 1 out of 4 to 5 options. So that's easy. You don't have 10 multiple choice questions, each with 4 options. So with multiple choice, this is also easy. Now, when we talk about the hard tasks, again, this is a negative. Here you have, first of all, technical difficulties. Of course, this is not common. It won't happen to you. Most likely, it is rare, but I have had a fair share of emails so far of students complaining that my answer was not recorded. My speaking question came again many times, so I don't know which one is going to be marked, and similar technical difficulties. Once again, the PTE Core exam is brand new, so they might be working out on their systems, but we have heard technical difficulties and complaints similar to that. Now, when it comes to speaking, there's the timing. Okay, so speaking, I just said earlier, some parts are easy. But when it comes to 2 main parts, which are describe the picture and respond to a situation, you only have 40 seconds to speak. 40 seconds is a very less time for the amount of work you have to do in that part, and that's the least amount of time. We have more time in IELTS and CELPIP to speak, and that will cause a problem for a lot of people who cannot summarize. Writing, we got to discuss writing. It's in the next slide. Writing is not easy overall. It is the hardest task. We'll talk about that more later. When it comes to reading, the hardest part in reading is reorder paragraphs. This is a part where you get multiple sentences and you have them scattered. It's your job to put them in the correct order, what was said first, next, and last. So this is, for many candidates, the hardest task, and this is where people are losing marks. So reading, again, 50-50. Some easy parts, very easy, and some very, very difficult parts, like reorder paragraphs. Now, let's come to listening. Listening is neutral. This is not a sad face. It's not a happy face. Listening difficulty level in PTE Core is the same like IELTS and CELPIP. So you don't have to worry about listening being difficult or hard or easier. It is exactly the same thing. We're neutral with listening. When it comes to the test timing, we are positive. This is a pro of the PTE Core test. You only have 2 hours to do the exam. IELTS and CELPIP require you to sit there for 3 hours or sometimes more. So this will make you less tired, but again, it's just 1 hour you would save, and at stakes you have your immigration and your life, so it's better to spend more time if it's an easier exam. But of course, a lot of you would look at this and say, you might do a better performance if you have only 2 hours and not more work. So it might be a positive factor. It overall looks to be in the favor of the exam. Unfortunately, when we come to writing, there's 3 thumbs downs, and that is because this is the hardest part. Writing is extremely difficult. Most people are failing in PTE Core writing. We also saw the CLB requirements are the highest for writing, which means you cannot make any grammar mistake. Everything should be perfect in terms of task response, excellent vocabulary, perfect structures. It is almost too good that you cannot most likely get a perfect score in PT Core writing. With that said, of course, you can take proper training, use our templates, use our course in the description that'll help you in achieving a good score. But if you have been struggling in writing in any other exam and you're thinking to switch to PT Core, think again, because this exam will really test your writing abilities. Now, there are some important things to understand, and this is going to help you in understanding your next steps. These are the queries we get. Okay, which exam is easier, IELTS, CELPIP, or PT Core? This is the answer I'm going to give you. This is the answer you will see in all articles online. This is the answer teachers will give you, and this is the answer you don't want to hear. But I'm going to tell you, all tests present their own challenges. We see students, I'll tell you why we say this, okay? We see students who say, I tried IELTS, I scored this, CELPIP, I scored this, PT Core, I scored this. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, in one exam, some modules are better, in the other, some are not. And in some, it's different. Sometimes it's random. Sometimes it's the same module in every exam that you're failing. There is no pattern, guys. There's no pattern that we see that, okay, in this exam, everybody fails on this module or so on. Of course, there are some observations we have made, of course, like in things like writing and the easy tasks and hard tasks. So I have presented that to you. And now it's your decision. But remember, every exam will have its challenges. So it's up to you to prepare it to your fullest. There's no secret exam because CLB requirements are set by Canada. If they say CLB 9, it is pretty similar across the board, IELTS, CELPIP, or PTE Core. So it is following that standardized guideline, which means you cannot have a cheat code with an exam that is easier. Sometimes your friends would do an exam and they would pass there and they would say, hey, this is easy. For them, it's not necessarily the same case for you. Might be, but doesn't have to be. So remember that. Next thing is all tests require practice. We have discussed this. The choice of the exam center does not matter. Please never ask or never think that a particular center would give you more marks. Again, this happens because your friend went to that center and finally passed, but maybe they just did a better attempt. Maybe the exam this time was easier. The center does not matter. Okay, I'm sorry if you're asking that, but that's a kind of a silly question. It does not have any effect on your mark. No one can predict tests. Stop asking each other. Stop going online, and please stop paying scam artists who say, we're going to tell you the real exam. This is what's going to come in the next exam. This never happens. No one can predict it. These institutions are very good at monitoring who does that, and they shut us down if we ever do that. So you cannot predict tests. And anyone who tells you this is going to be the next test, don't listen to them. They're lying to you, or they just want your money. Reevaluation for any of these tests, PT Core, CELPIP, or IELTS, is only useful if you know you have done a good job. If you know you made mistakes and you want to just reevaluate just because you're thinking, let's try my luck, don't do that. You'll just waste your time. Reevaluation only works when you know you haven't made mistakes and you deserve better. You usually end up getting a better score. Finally, everyone is different. If PT Core and its skill levels suit your skills, it's a great exam for you. If not, it's not a good exam. Maybe another one would be better. But again, remember, all skills need to be improved for all these exams because there are challenges in each. What are you? Are you good in certain modules? Are you failing in one part or the other? Are you successful in one or the other? We can tell you. We at HZad Education offer a completely free assessment. Contact us, our email is in the description. We'll give you a 45-minute free live session with a tutor. They'll assess you, they'll tell you what your strengths and weaknesses are, and if this exam or another one is the best for you. We'll also tell you where you can get resources, learnings, and of course a lot of them are available on our channel. Plus, if you want to check out our course, our PT course, 15-hour self-paced course including mock tests and amazing videos covering all content on PT Core, check it out in the link in the description and also in the shop link down below. Please subscribe, like, and share. We'll talk very soon.